In this episode, 5 fitness fallacies that are sending you down the wrong path. Don't go down there. It's scary. And there's no beards.
The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. The bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 629 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gaincast, mancast, pumpcast, and nipplecast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Welcome, everyone, and schwelcome, everyone. Dude, looking to watching the butter drip down from my beard piece. Welcome to the most muscular swolecast in the realm. Papa Swolio, the Daily Sleazy, episode 629. What up, fam? What up, brah? What up, bras? What up, bro Sevises? What up, bro Heems? Bro Hymuses? Bro Hymens? What's going on, team? What's going on, fam? Welcome to this amazing Thursday, I believe it is. Is it Thursday? It is Thursday. I really don't remember much what day of the week it is, but I got my beard comb, and that's all that matters. Look at that. Make it nice and beautiful. Nice and beautiful. Today's episode is, we're going to talk about some fitness fallacies once we get into the program today. I'm going to talk about 5 major things, and I'll take some questions about some fitness myths that I think I should clarify before we continue on with the Swole train. Been doing a lot about nutrition, been doing a lot about program design, but it's important to clarify a couple things because a lot of you are new to the show. A lot of you are new to the program every single day, which is great. And remember, if you're first timer watching the show live, you got to say what up. So if it's your first time watching the Daily Swole, make sure you say, yeah, first time in the comments. So make sure you let everyone know that is your first Daily Swole. Just say first time or first timer, or I'm a Swole version. I'm a bicep virgin. I've never seen those sick fucking gains before in my life. Well, now you have a chance to soak it all in. So drink it in. Take a nice deep breath in. Everyone together. Ready? I can just feel the gain. So the beauty of both watching the podcast and listening to the podcast, because you could also listen on SoundCloud and iTunes. So you can catch all the episodes on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts on iTunes. Just type in Swolenormous and you'll see the Daily Swole. And I also put links to this in my Instagram story and on Snapchat. And you will have the unbelievable privilege to listen. If you listen closely to the podcast, turn your speaker all the way up, get your ear really close to the speaker, and that gentle, almost unbeknownst hiss is the sound of my myofibrils increasing in cross-sectional area. You will hear me literally grow on the podcast. You can hear me build muscle. It's fucking amazing. So I'll leave that as some food for thought. That is not a fitness fallacy. That is just straight up fact. That's one of the wonders of the world, and I'm just glad that you're here to share it with all Papa Swolio. Yeah, the insanity comes with it. So I got my beard. Look at this. Look at it. Looks like me, right? Looks like me. Got the beard with the glasses and everything. It's this guy, and the mustache is getting so long. I have to make sure that I actually, remove the coffee dripping from my face. So welcome to the podcast. Welcome on Facebook Live and Instagram. Let's say hi to the family. Does nicotine limit recovery? That's an interesting way to start. I'll actually touch base on that in a moment. What happens is the nicotine molecules actually inhibit binding of oxygen. So it does limit your body's ability to carry oxygen. That's one of the problems with nicotine itself and smoking, not to mention you get the physical downside of the restriction and the destruction of the elasticity of the lung tissue. You are also taking up a binding site from the hemoglobin. So you like that? That's interesting, right? Those are facts. Those are facts and stuff. It's just science. I don't want to bore you with the science. But yeah, smoking is not good for you. It's not good for you. I mean, I love a cigar now and again, but I mean, I don't, smoke regularly. So let's see. I am part of the fam, but hello. Of course, I'm a vet. What up, Mike, Dana, Brian Derlin, BD, Trill Life KP? What's up? Instagram and Facebook. So if I'm talking on one side, I'll really try to let everyone know where the question's coming from, because obviously you don't know when I'm talking to one to the other. So I got Instagram here and Facebook Live right here, and both at Swolenormous, by the way. So if you're not following me on Instagram and Facebook, make sure you do that so you can catch a lot more information. You can catch up on all the episodes. 629, fam. What's up, Melissa? How you doing? Science is interesting. It sure is, isn't it? It sure is, isn't it? It's a lovely thing. So yeah, I love how real you are. Thank you. This is Ricky. What's your will to... What? You guys are getting weird on Instagram. Instagram's a bunch of strange birds. Let's get into the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's discuss these fallacies. You can see behind me, fitness fallacies. It's on the board. And let's start with number one. And this is not all of them. And you can post your own questions, like your own myths. These are things that are commonly thought of as fact, or people commonly think these things. And I just want to clarify what's really going on when, so you don't get distracted. Because sometimes what happens with people, and it's like the game telephone. So float some hearts if you remember the game telephone from when you were little. How you would sit in a circle, you're like 4 or 5 years old, or 6 or 7, or you did this last week at like a bachelorette party. You sit in a circle and one person whispers like a sentence or a phrase into someone's ear. Then that person whispers it to the next one. By the time it gets around the whole circle back to you, the sentence is completely different. So when you think about a simple test, it's like a simple test. It's a simple game that everyone's pretty much had experience with. When you have that game in such a controlled environment and just a simple sentence gets misconstrued and gets screwed up, it's very easy to understand how these scientific studies get misinterpreted, how people say things or they hear things. People hear things that they want to hear. Does that make sense? That most people hear what they want to hear. Have you ever, and drop in the comments below, I'm sure you have, you've had a conversation with someone when they respond and you're like, that's not what I said at all. What are you talking about? Like, I literally just told you, your point of view, and then the other person completely responds to something that you didn't even say. Like, they hear what they want to hear. And that's what people get from the news. That's what people get from reading headlines. You hear what you want to hear. You hear the positive, you hear the negative, you formulate your opinions and your decision, and boom, that's the way it is. This is bad. I don't believe this anymore. That's 100% wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. This is the way to do it. Meh. And that's human nature. That's human nature. And that's what we're talking about the other day with going to these extremes and not having an open mind and not experimenting and studying and testing. So we get as a society, we get too wrapped up in one study. When there's one study done or one little correlation, we go full in, like that's the way to do things. Science isn't that simple. When you have one study that proves something, you do like 1,000 more to make sure that they all point to the same answer, and then you make your assessment. So a lot of times these public policies with nutrition and exercise recommendations and things are done off, even like fitness supplementation, when they make a supplement and they quote a study, a lot of times this study is one study, one instance, and it's extrapolated into this whole truth that doesn't even exist. So you have to make sure where you're getting your information from, what the study actually was. Was a study done in a big scale? Was it a popular study? Was it a huge study? Was it funded by someone that has some kind of agenda? So there's a lot of alternative truths a lot of times behind the scenes, which where the study comes out. Is it going to be published in a journal? Are you going to see it written down? Is it going to be heralded by the medical community? Is it going to be shunned? Is it not going to get published? Is it going to get shoved under the rug? So there's a lot of things that is true that have been studied that you just don't know about because it's hard for civilians to access some of this material. So that's just some of the interesting facts of stuff that we've talked about last few days with studies and with high-fat diets, and we talked about veganism and plant-based dieting and stuff like that. And I wasn't giving any definitive answers, but my opinions and just observations and stuff. And I've been getting a lot of DMs actually before we go into some of the other content I have today. I've been getting a lot of DMs. I did a poll on Instagram yesterday, and I asked how many of the audience were vegans, and have you ever? And I wanted you to DM me, and you could also message me here on Facebook. Those of you that didn't see that poll here on Facebook. let me know, and I'll probably put this poll on Facebook too. I want you to message me with your experiences. I want you, if you went completely vegan, for example, I want to know what your feelings are, how you feel, how you feel since you've changed. And I want to know from people that are maybe vegan that went back to meat. So I want to know both your opinions and where and why you feel back, why you might have gone back to consuming meat to being an omnivore. Someone's asked, why am I moving a lot? Like with my hands, because I'm talking with my hands. I'm sitting on a ball, so not really moving that much. It's a lot better than me just standing here talking to the microphone. So don't be such a bump on a log, all right, fam? I'm moving. Of course I'm moving. I'm fucking excited. I'm just oozing passion. I was a vegan for about 8 months and have before and after photos. Well, explain. I mean, you can explain right now in the comments and also send those things to me. Send them to me in the messages. Eric Dean, I don't know if I could let myself go like that, vegan. Well, I mean, it's not. Look, there are a lot of people that feel amazing on it. And there's a ton of research that shows it could be extremely. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that and just fucking fall apart. So what happens is you get the religious zealotry of veganism too. So the science gets clouded. Let me just start off this whole conversation kind of wrapping up, a little bit yesterday and stuff. There's a lot of zealotry and that, and I'm not calling it a cult, but there's that team mentality. It's like religion, it's like politics, when you can do no wrong. And when you're on that team, you're 100% in, and it's my way or the highway. And that happens with a lot of things. That happens with politics. That happens with religion. That happens with countries. That happens with a lot of things. This is human nature. So there is, it gets blinded. The facts, many cases, and then people start citing facts and citing research and showing these documentaries that are biased. They're all biased. When you take studies and then warp them to your own ideals and ideologies, and you make a documentary that's obviously biased, people think documentaries are fact. They're still put in a certain light. They're still interviewing certain people. They're still portraying a story. So documentaries are very biased. They're very, very biased. Absolutely. They're interviewing human beings. Human beings have opinions. And there's a lot of, it's just how they shine the light on it. When you're doing the editing and when you're producing the shit, you can spin it your way. So let's get into some of these fallacies. Great comments. Keep dropping some comments and feedback on that vegan omnivore question. I want to know your personal experiences. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. Just want to get some feedback and we'll have this discussion. So vegans, you're watching this, I don't hate you. I like to have humor. It's a very sensitive issue, so I like to push the button pretty damn hard. But I want to clarify the fact that just because you go vegan, it's not like a healthy diet. It's not like, hey, I want to eat healthier, I'm going to go vegan. That's not how it works. People look at veganism as like a weight loss, like this is how I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be vegan. That's not the mentality. That's not why you should do it. That's not what's going to happen. That's more of a moral style of eating, and it's very risky and can be very bad for people. So there's a lot of complications with anything, but more so with that because most people don't do it for the right reasons and they don't do it properly. And you could be missing a lot of key nutrients. It's very easy to miss things because you're not eating the normal foods a human being should. You're eliminating things on purpose and you're going above and beyond for other reasons than just, nutritional reasons. So just be aware of that and do your homework. Okay, so the first fallacy I want to talk about is building muscle fast. I get a lot of messages about I want to build muscle. I'm looking for short term. I want to put on 5-10 pounds. That is like 3-4 months of work easily. I see someone, hold on, Taylor, I don't agree that you can't use it for weight loss. I never said that. A lot of people assume that veganism is like a weight loss diet. So I did not. Don't put words into my mouth. Make sure everyone, you're not putting words into my mouth. I did not say you cannot lose weight being a vegan, but it's not a weight loss diet. So check yourself. Make sure you listen to the words. Listen to the words. Building muscle fast. You cannot build muscle fast. When you're gaining weight, a lot of that is water weight and even fat weight. Can you build muscle while burning fat? Sometimes. Sometimes. The human body likes to shift gears. You're either going to be building muscle and be more in an anabolic state, or your body's going to be more catabolic and breaking down fat. When you have caloric surplus, you have extra tools to build muscle. When you have a caloric deficit, your body is going to be scrambling, looking for nutrition and looking for body fat and looking for other forms of energy that it can utilize to support its mass. So a caloric surplus or deficit is required for either gaining or losing weight. Now, your body is going to need a surplus in order to build significant muscle. No one without the help of anabolic steroids is going to be building a ton of muscle while shredding fat and losing weight. You're not going to swap like that. So everyone that's looking to, I want to build muscle and get rid of all this fat, you can build muscle and start changing your composition because your body is new to the experience of lifting weights. Your body is shifting gears essentially and getting rid of some severely excess fat, but that's not the normal process for a balanced human being to build muscle and shred fat. A lot of people that have more muscle mass are leaner, but it's the process of the body having more living tissue, more lean mass, and sustaining itself properly from the extra energy that's stored on the body. So you're not going to get huge and get shredded. That's not what happens. That might happen with artificial injections, testosterone and hormone injections, but it's not the norm for the human body. If you are curious about the effects of steroids and anabolics and how easy it is to put on mass and how lean you can get, I want you to look at pictures of a natural bodybuilding competition. I'm talking about 100% natural compared to ones that you'll see like in the IFBB Pro, blah, blah, blah. Because you will see the difference of what it looks like someone that's on hormones, that's taking steroids, that gets lean versus someone who's doing it 100% naturally. When you're doing it natural, you look emaciated, you look sick, you look unhealthy, you just look skinny. When you're doing it with anabolics, you look full, you look pumped, you look shredded. Wow, you look strong, big, healthy. It's because they're taking things that shift the body's natural hormone profile. That's why it looks like that. And we as a society severely underestimate how many people utilize anabolic steroids. Most of you have no clue how many people actually use this on every level, not to mention all the bodybuilding Instagram pictures you look at. People fucking use this shit like crazy. Like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. All ages from like 18, 19, people start this shit really young, and it's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, especially to start that young and to fuck up your testosterone production when you're like 20s. And people are doing it all over the place. They're getting tons of followers. They're building, you're not going to get huge and massive when you're 19, 20 without taking shit like that. Like massive. So you have to be careful what you look at and what you understand with how quickly the body can build muscle. And really, if you're doing everything optimally, you're only going to build muscle maybe like 1, 2, maybe 3 pounds, a month if you're perfect. Not to mention the other stuff you might be putting on body fat and water weight. And yeah, Catherine, the side deltoids are a giveaway. The rear deltoids could be a giveaway. Yeah, a lot of these like young people that have like just like pointy shoulders sticking out like really awkwardly, aesthetic V tapers. Like it's just, it could be pretty obvious. It could be pretty obvious. And let's get into that next fallacy, which is actually related to this one. And I tied in the next couple is how quickly you can lose weight, how quickly you can shed fat and get rid of fat, and how fast you can have fat loss. What are your thoughts on how quickly you can lose weight? What do you think the pace is? I have a lot of messages sitting in my inbox and my DM on Facebook and Instagram with people that are frustrated with their weight loss, and they've been losing exceptionally fast. Exceptionally fast. It's really only natural. I shouldn't say it's only natural, it's healthiest to maintain. Now, when I say these numbers, they're pretty common. They're pretty widely accepted as the proper pacing for weight loss. And it doesn't seem intuitive. It's like, why can't I lose more than that? And it's 1 to 2 pounds a week. 1 to 2 pounds of fat a week is a healthy pace. And that's important to understand, the healthy pace. When you first start a training program, because this is going to segue into the next fallacy I have for you. So we talked about building muscle fast. Now we're talking about losing weight fast. Can you lose 10 pounds in a week? Sure. But what do you think that is? What do you think it is when your body loses and sheds 10 pounds in a week? It's mostly water. It's mostly water. You're losing 9 pounds of water, 8 pounds of water, 7 pounds of water. You're losing a lot of water. You're mostly water. Your body is mostly water. The large percentage of your body is water, is agua. So because you're mostly water, it's natural to lose water when you lose weight. And that's fine. That's part of the process. It's not bad. Like, oh, I'm losing water weight. That's terrible. That's fine. It's fine to lose water weight. It's fine. That's part of it. You want to lose water because it's extra. You're getting rid of extra things on your body, and water is part of it, but it's not all of it. So when you start changing and you start changing your nutrition, and what happens when people go vegan, when people go to ketosis all of a sudden, what happens when you drop artificial processed things? You know, if you go vegan, a lot of times you're getting rid of a lot of processed food, so people lose weight and shed water really quickly. When people go into ketosis or they start eating high fat, what drops? Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates bind to water molecules. When you cut out carbs, you flush crazy water. That's why people lose weight so fast right off the bat when they do ketosis. People think, wow, I lost 8 pounds already or 10 pounds already. You're not in ketosis. It takes a few weeks to get into ketosis, like actual in ketosis. You're shedding weight really quickly because you cut out carbohydrates. If you start eating carbs, they'll come right back. And that's where people get the yo-yo effect, because most people will just jump into what their friend's doing. Oh, I'm doing ketosis. You're eating high fat. You're not in ketosis if you've been doing it for a week. So stop getting so impatient. Do your homework and start realizing how the body works, because you just jump into these things without actually knowing what it is. And Vince, that's absolutely, and then fall on your face and get discouraged. Well, what happens is when you cut out carbs with ketosis, for example, you'll feel great for the first few days. First week, you feel fucking amazing. You feel fucking awesome. And then same thing with people going, just, I'm going to be a vegan. You feel great for the first couple of days because you're clearing out a lot of things. You're clearing out a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, which are not that great for you. And all of a sudden, after a couple more weeks, when you're lacking certain nutrients and you hit that wall, when your body actually, you know, if you're vegan, you're missing nutrients. And when you're, let's say you're in ketosis and you actually start switching over to using blood ketones, you go through that keto flu phase. And this is just to say for people, not everyone feels these things the same way. Not everyone's missing nutrients. Not everyone does things haphazardly. But when you do any kind of extreme diet change, you might see initial reactions and feel good. And then all of a sudden you hit that crash or that wall and the reality settles in. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, like I can't do this, or I can't maintain this, or this is really uncomfortable. And then you fall off and you stop and you go back to eating the way you were and you gain the weight back and you yo-yo and nothing works for me. And how can I do this? Or, oh man, woe is me, feel bad for me, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't really do it right to begin with. So sometimes you have to go through and push a little bit harder. Sometimes you got to keep on pushing, got to keep on going. You just didn't make it to that threshold yet. But losing fat is not a fast process. You're not going to lose 20 pounds in a month. If you hear these extreme weight loss stories of a lot of weight in a short period of time, it could be because the person has a lot of weight to lose, like they're hundreds of pounds overweight, 3, 4, 5, 600 pounds. They have a lot to lose. It doesn't make it any less amazing. It just means they have more to lose. When you have more extra, you're going to flush out a lot more water quicker potentially, and you have a lot more fat to get rid of, and your body is more eager to get rid of these things. And once that kind of hits that plateau, when you stop losing so quickly, we stop getting rid of that stuff so quickly, then you kind of hit that, it seems like everything slows down. But it doesn't really slow down. It just gets to the point where it's more normal. You should only be losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, but it doesn't sound that effective. If you look at a scale and you're used to seeing 5 pounds, right? If you're used to seeing 5 pounds drop every week on the scale and all of a sudden you're seeing 2, you think, shit, I'm not seeing results anymore. Oh man, I only lost 1 pound this week. It's 1. But that's normal. That's excellent. But a lot of you will lose 1 pound and feel depressed and be like, shit, like I didn't do it right. Like I'm fucking up. I'm not losing weight fast enough. Something's wrong. And nothing's wrong. You just have to keep that consistent. If you lose a pound a week for an entire year, that's 52 fucking pounds. And that's an average. That's amazing. That's amazing. How impatient do you have to be? It's not going to happen that quickly. You've been fucking up your body for 20 or 30 years. What gives you the right to think you're going to get it all back in a year or 6 months? You got to do work. It might take you twice as long to get rid of it. It depends. It might take you half the time it took you to gain it. If you gained it over 10 years, you might lose it in 6 years or 5 years or 2 years. Everyone's different. Everyone has different dedication, discipline. It's all different. It's all different. My beard's itching my nose. But everyone's different. And it's important to understand our differences and the individuality. And that's where it comes interesting. That's where it makes it more like a little bit like a puzzle piece. Okay. Number 3, the third fallacy. So the first one was building muscle fast. The second one was losing fat or burning fat fast, or the rate of speed that's normal for burning fat. The third one is going to be eating fat makes you fat. Just posted a picture on Instagram about eating fat not making you fat. There's a reason why many cultures have extreme high fat diets. Fat is not linked to obesity. Consuming fat does not equal the fat that you're on, the adipose tissue that your body stores. There was a lot of suppressed research and a lot of things that did not come out in society because it was suppressed by the government and by these agencies and by these people that had agendas. And now, because of the slow shift of government, because everything is so dependent on one another, the FDA, the food industry, the pharmaceuticals, the government, everyone that's in power and all the systems that are in place, the medical, the hospitals, all the dogma, all the research, all the commercials, all the money and the mentality. Think of all the doctors that went through med school and they learned that carbohydrates, whole grains, eat rice, this and cereals and this and low fat diet. And it's all fucking wrong, right? It's just straight up wrong. And all these doctors have been telling you this, like their whole careers are built on these incorrect principles that they were biased to pass along. And humans are fallible. And I'm not saying that, it's everyone's fault, but a lot of research was done to prove the opposite, but it was silenced and it never made it to the surface. It's just the way power works. Who's in power? Who has the loudest voice? It's just the time before YouTube. A lot of people, when they shout loud enough, they get popular because they're yelling and they're ostentatious and, they're a spectacle. Like Trump, he's a spectacle. He's entertainment. And he broke through the noise because he's annoying and he's ostentatious, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of what you think about his principles, he's a social media celebrity, essentially. And we're paying the price for it in many cases. I mean, come on. Not the most diplomatic person, and that's just an objective opinion. That has nothing to do with policy. That's just fucking fact. Like, open your eyes. So the loudest person a lot of times gets through. So you have to be strong enough or have the facts to back it up. But the way science works, you need study after 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 study. Oh, I think there's a correlation after study after study after study after study. I think this might be the way it works after study, after study, after study, after study. You have to prove things like relentlessly, and then it's very likely that it's true. Science is never like, this is the way it is. It's just the way we understand it right now. Try to prove it. Like, that's what science is. That's what these studies are. The way scientific research is you have a hypothesis and then you try to prove it wrong. You try to show every other way that it could work. And then if that doesn't follow through, you're like, well, I guess this must be true then. So science needs to try to disprove these theories. That's what it is. And if you can't disprove it, then, with all the information available, that's likely the case. It's likely true because we have not been able to disprove it yet. Doesn't mean that it can't be disproven. It just means that there has been no one that can formulate a counter argument that has evidence, for example. So, I don't necessarily, evidence can be biased. It depends on who's funding it. It depends on who's carrying out the study. It depends on how the research was organized. And that's why you need multiple studies. But, humans are fallible and everyone has agendas. And there's a lot of challenging shit to deal with out there when you start looking at agendas. You start looking through just the science and what the words say, and you start looking at the policy and the politics behind it. So nutrition got very political, and eating fat does not make you fat. This is why people lose tons of weight with high-fat diets. This is why indigenous tribes eat extremely high fat and they have no instance in heart disease. There is so much out there that shows that ketosis, high fat diets, utilizing blood ketones are very healthy for anti-immune issues. If you have a lot of autoimmune diseases and issues, high fat has been shown to do wonders. There's been a lot of instances of high fat diets reversing diabetes. The ultimate example, look at the path of the United States. Look at the path of our culture. Look at what has happened to our health. You want an epidemiological study? Just look at the trend. Heart disease has gone through the roof. Obesity, diabetes has gone through the roof since we kept and we promoted the low-fat diet for decades. What other proof do you need? We've been doing carbs, whole grains, cut out the fat, get it down, and everything is fucked. Fucked. People are jacked up. How many of you know someone with diabetes? How many of you know someone with diabetes? Simple carbs are different than complex carbs. Sure, but still, you shouldn't be having too many of them. It doesn't matter. Everything gets broken down to glucose. Sweet potatoes, yuca, okay, yams, those are better, but they're still carbohydrates. You still don't need to overeat them. You know, we start nitpicking the details. When you get your head buried so much in the sand, you start counting macros, you start worrying about macro ratios, blah, blah, blah. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. So that is why I promote elimination diet. That's why I talk about high fat so much. That's why it's more about what you're eating rather than how many calories and what ratios things are. A lot of you are still coming to me with caloric intake and macro ratios. They are pulling the fucking blindfold down on you. When you're eating garbage, yeah, it's important you limit your calories because you're eating shit that's bad for you. Caloric restriction has been shown to benefit the heart in the sense that you're not getting as much inflammatory crap in your diet. It's like fasting. But when you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, a carbohydrate heavy, low fat, it's not good for you. And we have the proof. The proof is in all the numbers are going skyrocketing for obesity and diseases. So there's your proof right there on a large scale, you know, and without listing all the people like, well, so-and-so does this and is healthy. There's always anomalies. And there are other things that you might not have tested for that could show otherwise. So these precursors, like you never know until someone dies. You know, everyone's fine. This person's super healthy, blah, blah, blah. And they've been eating carbs and no fat for 50 years. And then tomorrow they drop fucking dead. So it's like, oh, you know, you can't see the future. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, that's why we have to keep on studying and looking back. But the answers a lot of times are right there under our noses. We're just not looking in the right place. We're not, you know, we're not giving them the time of day because, oh, we were programmed this, low fat, this, since we were children. And because we've all gone to school, they train you how to think. And then when you get out and now you're part of the society, you're trained how to think. You just do as you're told, do as you're told, do as you're told, do as you're told. So let's stop being fucking zombies and wake up and realize that we have decisions and we can use our own common sense. We do have a choice. You do have a choice. Nutrition is not complicated. It's very simple. You just have to take a few moments and restructure your thinking and just live your life and use the evidence that's right there in front of your fucking faces and stop just following orders all the time because your orders are coming from somewhere. And doctors' orders come from the medical schools. And those medical schools are funded by the government and funded by big agencies. So it's just all a cycle. Don't eat after 7 p.m. That just doesn't really have any. That's the next one. That's number 4. Don't eat after 7 p.m. Like, don't eat after the sun goes down. Okay. I mean, I understand like the concepts of like circadian rhythm, and when the sun goes down, you should be going to bed. That's like an arbitrary number. You know, not eating too close to bedtime, not spiking insulin. If you're eating high fat, this isn't really an issue for you. If you're eating tons of carbs before you go to sleep, that's not going to be good for you either. Eating a ton of like, you know, spiking insulin, eating a ton of carbohydrates. But if you're eating a high fat diet, that's not really going to make that much of a difference because your body's in fat burning mode. So you're not spiking insulin. You're not doing the same shit to your body. So eating after 7, that's just kind of like what people started doing. It's like a lot of the calorie counting, the macros, and don't eat after this time and blah, blah, blah. A lot of that came because you're trying to find loopholes because you're eating so many carbohydrates. You're eating so many carbs. You're eating poison essentially in many cases. And then you are trying to find ways to fix the issues from eating these things that are not optimal. Does that make sense? So, and I'll take some questions. Keep asking the questions. I'll take a few at the end. And also want to do a little bit of a poll on Instagram and Facebook, because these episodes have gotten more conversational. They're getting a little bit longer. And I have a couple thoughts about that. And I think it's better this way. And I just want your opinion. So I'll be asking for some more feedback because I do like these episodes that stretch out, that are a little bit more discussion based. So I hope you're enjoying it. And you're all here. You're all watching. You're sticking with all Papa Swole. What up? What up? So I hope you enjoy this style of Daily Swole. I've been wanting to embellish a lot more and get into some of these things a little bit deeper. So questions, I'll take some at the end. Last one for right now, number 5, is cardio to lose weight. That you need to do cardio to lose weight. So losing weight, it's very scientific with physics, right? With physics or any kind of, chemistry. But the energy, right? Conservation of energy, consume less energy than you're expending. If you're utilizing energy, then you are more than what you're consuming and putting on your body. You will have a deficit and you'll lose weight or lose mass. What people don't understand is that the calories you're using, you burn 200 calories, is not the same as like the 200 calories from the avocado. They're the similar concept, but it doesn't translate the same. Your body is not an arithmetic or like a addition subtraction. It's not a mathematical equation all the time. There's different elements at play, different absorption rates, different calories get used differently, different activity levels, what your body is trained to eat. So it's not 200 minus 200 and you're even. That's why a lot of people gain weight when they don't realize it, or they don't lose weight. Your body adapts to certain types of activities. So your body becomes more efficient at doing cardio. Your body will metabolize different foods differently at different times of the day for different purposes, with different training principles and all sorts of things. So your body is not just 200 in, 200 out. There's a lot of other different layers of that. So cardio is not necessarily required to lose weight or lose fat. You can do caloric restriction. You could change from eating inflammatory foods. You could do a higher fat diet and, keep your calories. Of course, if you're eating 10,000 calories a day, it doesn't matter if you're eating ketosis, you can still gain weight, but you're less likely if you are limiting inflammatory foods and you're consuming the resources that your body will primarily use. And if you're in ketosis, you're consuming fat, does not equal to adding fat, like we already discussed. When you are looking to lose weight, you can do caloric restriction. Like I said, you can eliminate inflammatory foods. You can add cardio, but resistance training and proper nutrition is the best way to lose weight and the best way to maintain shape. Most of you don't want to just lose weight and be skinny. You want to have a butt. You want to have arms. I want to be toned, right? That bullshit word toned. You need to lift weights. Lifting weights with proper nutrition and your body will balance itself out. And in closing, don't underestimate the damage you've done to your endocrine system. Don't underestimate the damage you've done to your body with years of doing these wrong things. All of a sudden, you might watch one of these episodes, get really motivated, get really excited, and then you decide, I'm going to do ketosis and eat this way. And after a month or two, well, how come I'm not losing fast enough? Or I've been doing this for a while. You've been damaging your body and fucking your shit up and sending the wrong signals and eating chemicals for maybe 20 or 30 years. It's going to take time for you to recover. Some of the processes in your body that probably should have worked from the beginning might be broken, might be really damaged, and might take a long time to come back. And you have to be consistent. And I think we underestimate how much damage and how much reversal that your body needs. It can heal itself, but it has to have the right tools to heal itself. And that does not come from cereal. That does not come from oatmeal. That does not come from rice. That comes from healthy, high-quality fats. And someone was asking me, what are high-quality fats? Coconut oil, avocado, eating high-quality, grass-fed beef, pasture eggs, whole eggs, but from good quality sources. I'm not a plant-based dude. I think human beings should be eating meat and should be eating high fat. Animal fats are not the devil. Are they the devil when the animals are fed grain their entire lives and antibiotics? And of course, that's going to be bad. You don't want that. That's low quality. That's a low quality product. It's like taking kale and spraying it with tons of pesticides. and all these sprays and shit like that. It's the same kind of thing. You're getting crappier quality stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's consumed that should not be consumed out there, the vegetable oils and so forth. But quality fats are not hard to come by. Even squirrels eat chipmunks. There's so much out there that's coming to the surface. And for every documentary that you're going to read that's going to try to scare you into eating more carbohydrates because the industry thrives on it. Think how happy Nestle and Kraft are when people watch these documentaries and get like, oh my God, I'm never touching a piece of chicken again. Chicken's not really a high quality meat anyway, but where are you going to go? You're going to start eating more grains and more breads and stuff, and you're just putting money into their pocket. You're putting money into Bristol Myers Squibb or Kraft or Nestle, one of these companies that it just runs the sugar industry. What you need to understand is how many things are made from corn. Corn is subsidized by the government, corn and soy, and that's what they put in all these products. So the government has massive soy fields in other countries in the United States and corn, and they make all these carbohydrates from corn and soy. All of it is mostly corn and soy. And it's made so fucking dirt cheap, and it's sold at so high a margin, and then it keeps everyone sick, and the pharmaceutical companies sell you drugs, and you're on drugs for your whole life, and the medical community just gives you drugs. So you got the pharmaceutical companies, you got the food companies, and you got the government, which has all the people like in their pocket because they're paying them tons of money. And it's a whole system. It's the entire government. And how are you going to change that? Some research comes out, well, high fat this, like, oh, yeah, well, that was a specific study, blah, 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 and it gets shoved under the table. But now we have the internet. We have the ability to connect. We have the ability to pass around this information a lot quicker. And it's getting out there. This bullshit is getting out there. It's still hanging on. It's still hanging on. You'll still hear a lot of this low-fat shit. It's a fucking load of crap. It's a load of crap. And I want you to think about what human beings, I want you to think about what makes you happy, what makes you satisfied. Do you feel satisfied when you're having a big, juicy, grass-fed steak? You know, and it's very satisfying. It gives you a lot of energy. You're full. You're a hunter-gatherer. You're a human fucking being. Okay? You're not a cow. You don't go and graze in the fields. That's not natural. That's not natural for a human. It's not. Do we go when you look at a nice green field, you're like, ooh, I want to walk out into the field and just eat the grass and literally get on your hands and knees and just chew grass. No, you don't. You don't. You don't do that. It's common sense. You don't go eat the grass. Like we talk about, oh, well, if you had to kill the animal, you couldn't do it. But go into the forest. Go into a forest and look around and look at the trees and look at the leaves. When you look at that, do you get hungry? Do you get hungry? When you look at a field of green leaves and grass, does that like, oh, I can't wait to like put this all in a bowl and chew on it? No, you don't. You have no impulse for that whatsoever. I enjoy salad. I think it tastes good with like olive oil and balsamic vinaigrette all over it. But when I look at a grassy field, I don't get turned on. I'm not like, oh my God, it looks amazing. It's not exciting to look at. You know, berries are different. Fruit is different. We're programmed to eat the fruit and poop out the seeds and stuff, and you know, help the species grow. And you know, we'll eat a peach and like we'll drop the pit, and then it'll grow another peach tree. That's how these fruit trees and plants survive. But those attract our attention when they're ripe, the red, the yellow, the orange, that attracts our eyes. And then we go and pick them because they're high in sugar, and longer days in the summer, it's more energy. But those are certain times of the year. Now we have all the food in our faces all the time, and it has diluted our decision making. All the breads, the cereals, the oatmeals, the boxes are all orange and red and yellow because they simulate psychologically ripe fruit. Why are Chips Ahoy in red boxes? Why are Cheez-Its in red boxes? Why are Chips Ahoy in yellow boxes? Why are all these different cookies and candies? Look at the colors when you go to the supermarket. Look at all the fake food, all the cereals, all the boxes are reds, yellows, and oranges because they simulate ripe fruit to our evolutionary brain. And we're like, oh, this looks good. Why is a brown, grainy cereal why is it in a red box? Why is it in an orange box? Why are brown chocolate chip cookies in a red box or a yellow box? There's no reason for it. There's absolutely no reason why it is in a container that's red or yellow, aside from the reason that psychology tests, they test this on test groups. That's what these companies do. They test it for months to see which ones people will reach for quicker. And then they get the answers and they make all their packaging that way so you buy more. And that's it. That's it. You get hooked on it because the sugar roller coaster, you get diabetes, and it's just making everyone sicker. And it's just the observation of the facts. It's not the way to eat. It's making this country fucking disgustingly unhealthy. And we have proof. We have proof. The numbers are undeniable that it does not work. Undeniable. Like, it doesn't work. We're sicker than ever. Obesity, heart disease, everything. It's worse than ever before. And that's because of what they've been telling us. And low fat is not the way to go. It's not the way to go. It's not. It's not. It's just not. And you can see it. The proof is in the effects. And that's undeniable. So let's take a couple questions. Papa Swole, what is the one thing you want to tell loud to every obese person? You're fat. Own it. Do something about it. That's it. That's that. I made a video on that and people really responded well to it. Grass-fed meat is so delicious. It is. It is. It's a huge difference. They feed livestock corn and soy also. Absolutely. Because they grow faster. And that's part of the problem. That's why you don't want any USDA approved, blah, 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 that kind of meat. And I'm not saying that the meat industry is the best way. It's a fucking disaster. It's a disaster because they're trying to feed an ever-growing population, trying to maximize the production of corn and soy and feed these animals that get fatter quicker. They're unhealthy. They have changes their whole, profile of the quality of the meat, destroys the omega-3s, destroys the CLA that's in grass-fed beef, and it looks completely inhumane. And I mean, I don't really know why you can say it's inhumane. Of course it's inhumane. It's with cows and cattle. But I know it's just not pretty. You're trying to do this on such a large scale because we're overpopulated. But the natural way for human beings is to hunt and gather. And of course, now we're not hunting anymore. So of course it's going to seem like, we have these like factories of just meat. And I'm not saying it's done properly. I'm not saying there's another way or a better option that I know of. But it's just, that's just the way what we're trying to work on. This is part of life. We react and we're trying to do things differently. We try to improve as humans. Eat wild game, grow your own vegetables, fruit, and do deadlifts, and you'll be just fine. How many eggs daily are fine? Is there something as too many eggs? There could be. I mean, pastured eggs, like not cage free, but pastured, hens that are really roaming free. Like if you have your own chickens, I'm not sure if there is, because, dietary cholesterol is not bad for you. So, from all the research I've done and from what you can easily Google, that consuming cholesterol does not mean you'll have high cholesterol. And that's one of those things that's been promoted for years. So is there a limit to how many eggs you can consume? I do not know. I do not have that answer for you. But I've gone through periods where I had many, many eggs a day, whole eggs, and I've always been fine. Always been fine. My blood work's always been amazing. What 6 things should always be in the fridge or pantry? Go-to healthy snack. Just eat food. What's with everyone in snacks? Here's another thing, actually, that can answer that question. If you need snacks, your meals are not satisfying enough. Does that make sense? I am a huge proponent of if you have to snack, you're not getting your nutrition in. If you're eating a high-fat diet, and those of you, and I want to hear some comments, we'll be ending the show in a couple moments, but a high-fat diet, those of you that are doing high-fat or ketosis, would you agree that you don't have cravings for snacks? Like, you're satisfied. A high-fat diet, you're satisfied. You don't have to snack. You don't have these cravings. You don't have the sugar crashes because you're getting satisfying calories. You get a lot of calories from fat and you get a lot of healthy calories. So you don't have those same cravings. Like, I don't have snack cravings. Sometimes I start snacking, but I'm really hungry and I just eat, but I eat food. When you're hungry, you eat food. There really is no such thing as a snack. I just want to graze a little bit. Like, well, eat a meal or eat more satisfying when you do, or have food. I wouldn't get in the habit of the whole snack game. As long as you're eating the right foods, eat a little bit of it. Consider that a snack. What 6 things? Why 6? What 6 things should always be in the fridge? Food. I like my grass-fed beef, my sweet potatoes, pastured eggs. I have my grass-fed butter, coconut oil. There's a whole list of foods. A whole other meal. If you're hungry, eat. You're a human being. If you're hungry, eat. But I think you'll find if you get the proper nutrients, you'll be a lot less hungry and you won't feel the need really to snack. Long form conversations are the future of great information. I like it. So what do you guys think of the new format, the longer? I mean, it's going to vary from day to day, but I do like the longer discussionary form of the Swole. Still topic based, a little more discussion, a little discussion oriented. Part of me feels that if you're enjoying the show and you're a fan of the show, you don't want a 10-minute show. We can get more done. There's no need for it to be short blasts of information. If you want a short blast of information, you can check out like an Instagram post or you can fast forward. But I feel like those of you that are fans of the show, that love this information, that want to discuss it, I want to hear it, you want to listen to an hour podcast, or you want more value, you want more content, you would listen to a longer show and more conversation based on these issues because you are proponents of it and that you're interested in more details. So I think it's going to cater to more of the hardcore audience, but also it's going to give those of you that enjoy the show more value because you'll get more of it. And I equate this to, if you have a favorite movie or a favorite TV show, you don't want it to end. You want there to be another episode. You want it to be longer. You're like, oh man, only stopped like a Star Wars movie. You know, if you love Star Wars, you'll watch a 6-hour Star Wars movie. You'll watch, if Braveheart was like 5 hours, you'd watch a little bit extra. You'd watch, another season of the show that's your favorite, right? So interactive wealth of knowledge, like a Swole Siri. Ha! I like it. Yeah. I want to try this. Any good sources you trust for us to study and try this diet? I'm interested. Stephanie Go, what do you mean, which diet? I'm not sure when you asked that question, what I was talking about. You mean high fat? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, the Atkins diet is high fat. There's also, what is it? The Fat Myth, or another good book. I forget what it's called. The Fat Mythbusted, or there's another good one. I'll have to give some resources, some good books for you all to read. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll start doing this. We'll have a little book club or a little book discussion. I'll talk a little bit about it. There's a good book that maybe I'll do a show on it tomorrow and we can discuss it a little bit and some of the principles behind it. But some good stuff that you can read to get a little bit more feedback or a little additional information from what we're talking about here. Because just so you know, I'm not claiming to have done all the research. I don't sit here all day long and pour through thousands of medical studies. It's personal experience. If what I've seen from reputable resources, it's what I've read. And a lot of it is just from personal experience. Like, I've done these things. I went vegan, vegetarian for 6 months. I've done a lot of meat. I've done different styles. And I know what I feel. I know what I like. I know when my joints hurt, when I don't feel pain. I know when I feel energy. I know when I feel strong. I know you just learn your body. When you're clean, when you eat clean and you're consistent, you learn more about your body and you start seeing things differently. So that's important. It's important to learn your body and to listen to your body. And I think we ignore our own bodies way too often. Way too often. We don't listen or we don't pay attention as much as we think we do. We say we do, but we don't. And that's a huge problem if you're not listening, if you're not paying attention to what your body is saying. So I've been doing Brain Octane. Oh, is that one of those bulletproof products with my coffee? You could use 100% MCT oil is fine too, and grass-fed butter with that. I just use 100% MCT oil because it's a fraction of the price, and it's fine for what I'm looking for. So yeah, so we'll do more. And if you guys have book recommendations or things that you want to discuss, you can always let me know. You can hit me up in the DM, ask questions. If you come across a research study you want to discuss or maybe see on the show, you can always send it to me, or you can email team@swolenormous.com if you have anything like that. Also, a couple other things. the podcast, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Make sure you check it out there. This audio will be up shortly, probably in the next hour or so. So check me out on Snapchat and Instagram stories. I will post up there, as well as send out an email to those of you that are on the list when the new podcast goes live, so you can check it out ASA to the P and enjoy it for your afternoon and evening commute or tomorrow morning. And every day live at 12 noon Eastern time, Facebook and Instagram, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, also on YouTube. And tonight there's going to be another workshop. We're going to do another little discussion in Swolenormous X. So the new Train With Me, the virtual trainer leg workout, went live on Tuesday in Swolenormous X, and that was awesome. So I'm looking forward to the feedback for the X members that tried that new virtual training experience, the workouts where you can train with me, as well as the yoga class on Sunday. That was new post. The hips and twist, the yin, was a great class as well. So new workshop tonight in Swolenormous X for members. So make sure you stay tuned for that when you get the announcement. And I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 600 and squirty. 6 squirty tomorrow. 630 is exciting for a Flex Friday. So I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 630. Peace, McGeese. Deuce, Magoose. Papa Swolio. Out. Samwise. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. That was a great long episode. Hope you enjoyed it.